The alien ship appeared on Earth's radar like a silver needle against the black of space. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty Bell, watching the strange vessel approach through the viewport. His coffee mug sat forgotten in his hand as he studied the graceful curves of the alien craft. "Sir, they're sending another transmission," said Lieutenant Carol Davis from her communications station. Jake nodded. "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was smooth and musical, filtered through universal translators. "Greetings, primitive beings of the Third World. We are the Veltar, representatives of the Great Galactic Confederation. We come to offer guidance to your developing species." Jake raised an eyebrow. He had been a Marine for 15 years before joining the Space Force, and he knew condescension when he heard it. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our solar system. Though I should mention we prefer being called humans, not primitive beings." There was a pause before the alien responded. "Of course. We meant no offense. We simply wish to help your people join the greater galactic community." Down on Earth, Dr. Lisa Chen worked frantically in her laboratory. As the planet's lead expert on alien biology, she had been studying the electromagnetic signatures coming from the Veltar ship. What she found made her stomach twist with worry. The aliens were broadcasting on frequencies that would be lethal to most Earth life forms. Their ship's hull radiated energy levels that suggested they lived in environments with minimal radiation. Their communication patterns indicated they came from a world with gravity barely half of Earth's. Lisa picked up her phone and called General Peter Rodriguez. "Sir, we have a problem. These aliens are not like us at all. They're fragile." "What do you mean, fragile?" Rodriguez asked. "I mean they evolved on a garden world. Low gravity, minimal radiation, probably no dangerous weather. Earth would be like a death trap to them." Lisa stared at her readings. "General, I don't think they understand what kind of world we come from." Meanwhile, the Veltar ship Serenity Dawn hung in space like a crystal sculpture. Commander Zix Thara stood in the ship's elegant command center, his crystalline skin reflecting the soft blue light of the control panels. Everything about the ship spoke of a civilization that valued beauty and comfort above all else. "Commander," said his aide, "the humans have agreed to a meeting. They want to establish a diplomatic station on their moon." Zix Thara felt pleased. Most primitive species were eager to please their betters. "Excellent. Prepare Ambassador Kylandra for the meeting. Make sure she brings the standard gifts for developing civilizations." The meeting took place in a hastily constructed facility on Luna. Ambassador Kylandra arrived in an ornate shuttle, accompanied by 2 guards whose weapons were more decorative than functional. She wore flowing robes that sparkled with embedded crystals. General Rodriguez and diplomat Karen White waited in the meeting room. The artificial gravity was set to Earth normal, and the temperature was a comfortable 72 degrees Fahrenheit. To humans, it felt like a pleasant spring day. When the Veltar delegation entered, their environmental suits immediately began working overtime. The gravity felt crushing to beings who evolved under lighter conditions. The temperature made their cooling systems strain. "Welcome to Luna Station," General Rodriguez said, standing to greet them. He moved with the easy confidence of someone comfortable in his own body. Ambassador Kylandra struggled not to show her discomfort. "Thank you for this meeting. We bring greetings from the Confederation and gifts to celebrate your species' entry into galactic civilization." Karen White smiled politely. "That's very kind. We've prepared some gifts of our own." She gestured to a table where several items sat under a cloth covering. Dr. Chen, who had been studying the aliens through hidden sensors, called General Rodriguez on his earpiece. "Sir, their stress levels are off the charts. The gravity alone is pushing them to their limits." The meeting proceeded with careful diplomacy. The Veltar presented advanced technology, expecting the humans to be impressed and grateful. Instead, General Rodriguez examined each item with the practical eye of a soldier, asking technical questions that revealed a deeper understanding than expected. "This plasma weapon," Rodriguez said, holding up an elegant silver device. "What's its effective range in a high-gravity environment?" Kylandra blinked, her large eyes showing confusion. "High gravity, that is not usually a concern." "And this medical scanner," Karen added, picking up another gift. "How does it perform in high radiation areas?" "Radiation?" The ambassador's voice rose slightly. "Civilized worlds do not have dangerous radiation levels." Captain Morrison, who had been quietly observing from the corner, stepped forward. Ambassador, where exactly do your people come from? The beautiful world of Veltara, she replied proudly. A paradise of crystal cities under gentle suns, where the gravity is light and the air is pure. Morrison exchanged a look with Rodriguez. Sounds nice, peaceful. Very peaceful, Kylandra confirmed. We have not known war for 1,000 cycles. Violence is unnecessary when civilized beings can resolve disputes through discussion. It was then that Karen White revealed the human gifts. She pulled away the cloth to show items that made the aliens step back in alarm: a standard military rifle, a radiation detector clicking steadily, a bottle of water from Earth's oceans. These represent our world, Karen explained. We thought you might like to understand where we come from. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through Rodriguez's earpiece again. Sir, their stress indicators just spiked. They're terrified. The Veltar stared at the human gifts with growing horror. The weapon was clearly designed for serious combat, built for function over beauty. The radiation detector showed levels that would require evacuation on their homeworld. The ocean water contained salt concentrations and mineral levels that would be toxic to their delicate systems. Ambassador Kyle Andra tried to maintain diplomatic composure, but her voice shook slightly. These are interesting examples of your culture. Just everyday items, Morrison said casually. That rifle is standard issue for our planetary defense forces. The radiation detector is what we use to check if an area is safe for children to play in, and the water is from one of our more pleasant beaches. The meeting ended with polite farewells, but as the Veltar delegation returned to their ship, they moved with the careful urgency of beings who had just realized they were far from home and safety. In their shuttle, Ambassador Kyle Andra contacted Commander Zix Thera. Commander, we may have made an error in our assessment of this species. What do you mean? They live on a world that would kill us in hours without protection. They consider violence a normal part of life, and they seem to think we are the unusual ones. Back on Luna Station, General Rodriguez watched the alien shuttle depart. Dr. Chen, what's your assessment? Lisa's voice came through clearly. General, I think we just met our first aliens and they're afraid of us. Karen White shook her head in amazement. They expected to find primitives who would be grateful for their guidance. Instead, Morrison added with a grim smile, they found humans. 3 weeks after the first meeting, another alien ship arrived in Earth's solar system. This one was larger and belonged to a different species called the Zephyrians. Unlike the crystalline Veltar, the Zephyrians looked more like tall, thin humans with pale blue skin and large black eyes. Consul Nethavarn led this new delegation. The Confederation had decided to try a different approach with humanity. Instead of offering technology, they would demonstrate their superior culture and social organization. Surely these barbaric humans would see the benefits of proper civilization. Marine Sergeant Danny Torres received orders to escort the alien visitors through New York City. He met them at the landing pad with a small security detail. The Zephyrians emerged from their ship wearing flowing white robes and expressions of confident superiority. Welcome to Earth, Danny said, shaking hands with each visitor. His grip was firm, and he noticed how the aliens winced slightly at the contact. Thank you, Consul Nethavarn replied through his translator. We are eager to show your people the beauty of advanced galactic culture. Perhaps in return you could show us examples of your artistic achievements, Danny grinned. Sure thing. I thought we'd start with a tour of the city, then maybe catch a movie and grab some dinner. The trouble started immediately. As they walked through Times Square, the Zephyrians began showing signs of distress. The noise of traffic, construction, and thousands of people talking created a sensory assault on beings evolved in quiet, orderly environments. A car backfired nearby, and 2 of the aliens dropped to the ground, covering their heads. Danny helped them up, concerned. You okay? That was just a car. Just a car? Nethavarn asked, his voice shaking. It sounded like an explosion. Well, yeah, internal combustion engines do that, Danny explained. Come on, let's get you somewhere quieter. But there was no escape from the chaos of human civilization. Construction workers operated jackhammers nearby. Street vendors called out to customers. Music blared from store speakers. To humans, it was the normal background noise of city life. To the Zephyrians, it sounded like a war zone. Dr. Amy Foster, an anthropologist assigned to study the cultural exchange, met them at the museum. She had prepared what she thought would be a gentle introduction to human culture, starting with art and history. "This is one of our most famous paintings," she explained, showing them a landscape by a human master. The artist painted it during a thunderstorm. The Zephyrians stared at the painting in confusion. He painted during a storm. Why did he not seek shelter? Artists often work in challenging conditions, Amy explained. Many of our greatest works were created during difficult times. The confusion deepened when she showed them sculptures carved from stone. To humans, working with hard materials like marble and granite was a normal artistic challenge. To beings whose art involved growing crystals in controlled environments, the idea of attacking stone with hammers and chisels seemed violently destructive. Lunch proved to be another cultural disaster. Danny had chosen a popular restaurant that served what he considered mild, family-friendly food. The menu included pizza, hamburgers, and chicken wings with barbecue sauce. The Zephyrians took cautious bites and immediately began coughing and reaching for water. Even the basic tomato sauce contained spices that their sensitive systems could not handle. The cheese was too rich for digestive systems designed for simple plant matter. The barbecue sauce might as well have been liquid fire. "This is too intense," Nethvarn gasped, tears streaming from his large eyes. "How do your children survive eating such harsh substances?" Danny looked puzzled. "This is kid food. Wait until you try the hot wings special." Dr. Foster quickly intervened, ordering plain bread and water for the visitors, but even the tap water proved problematic. Earth's water contained minerals and trace elements that the aliens found overwhelming. The afternoon movie was supposed to be a safe choice. Danny had selected a popular action film with spectacular special effects but a simple good versus evil plot. He thought the aliens would enjoy the storytelling. The Zephyrians made it through exactly 12 minutes of the film before 3 of them fainted. The movie's opening sequence, which showed a car chase through city streets, registered as documentary footage of mass violence to beings who had never seen powered vehicles used aggressively. When the hero fired a gun to disable a pursuing vehicle, Consul Nethvarn stood up abruptly. "We must leave immediately. This is a training film for warriors." No, Danny protested. "It's just entertainment. None of this is real. You show fictional violence for pleasure?" The alien's voice rose in pitch. "Your people find combat amusing." Amy Foster tried to explain the concept of action movies, but the cultural gap proved too wide. To humans, the difference between real and fictional violence was obvious. To beings who had never experienced conflict, the distinction was meaningless. The final disaster came when Danny decided to show them some live music. He chose what he thought was a mild rock concert, avoiding the heavier metal bands that might be too intense. The band was playing classic rock songs from the 1970s. The Zephyrians lasted exactly 1 song. The volume levels that felt normal to human ears overwhelmed their sensitive hearing. The driving beat triggered panic responses in nervous systems evolved for peaceful environments. When the lead guitarist launched into a solo, 2 aliens collapsed and had to be carried outside. Commander Rick Davis of the Space Force arrived to handle the diplomatic fallout. He found the Zephyrian delegation huddled in their shuttle, refusing to come out. "Consul Nethvarn," he called through the shuttle's communication system. "Is everyone all right?" "Your species is insane," came the reply. "You live surrounded by constant violence and chaos. You consume substances that would kill civilized beings. You create art by destroying stone and metal. And you call all of this normal." Rick tried to explain that human life was actually quite peaceful by historical standards, but the aliens would not listen. To beings who considered a gentle breeze to be severe weather, Earth was a hellscape inhabited by creatures too dangerous to understand. Dr. Foster compiled her report that evening. "The cultural exchange was a complete failure," she wrote. "The Zephyrians interpret normal human behavior as evidence of extreme aggression and toxin tolerance. They cannot comprehend how we survive in conditions they find lethal." Danny Torres filed his own report. "The aliens are scared of everything. They think our food is poison. Our entertainment is warfare training, and our cities sound like battlefields. I tried to be gentle with them, but they acted like I was trying to kill them just by walking down the street." The Zephyrian ship departed Earth orbit the next morning. Their final transmission was brief and formal. "The human species has been classified as incompatible with Confederation social standards. Recommend immediate reclassification of threat level." In the depths of space, Consul Nethvarn composed his report to the Confederation leadership. He described a species so naturally violent and toxin-resistant that they had weaponized their own environment. Their cities were fortresses designed to overwhelm the senses. Their food was chemical warfare disguised as sustenance. Their entertainment was psychological conditioning for combat. These beings call themselves human, he wrote. They are unlike anything we have encountered. They do not merely tolerate hostile conditions. They thrive in them. They have turned their entire world into a training ground for survival, and they consider this normal life. The report concluded with a recommendation that would change everything. Humanity represents a fundamental threat to galactic peace. They must be contained before they spread beyond their homeworld. Back on Earth, General Rodriguez read the intelligence intercepts of alien communications with growing concern. They're not trying to help us anymore, he told his staff. They're trying to figure out how to stop us. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. We showed them who we really are, and they're terrified. The question is, what are they going to do about it? The Confederation Science Council met in emergency session aboard their flagship, the Harmony of Spheres. High Researcher Quintara, a being that looked like a walking tree with crystalline branches, presided over the gathering. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table that glowed with soft, peaceful light. The human problem requires immediate attention, Quintara announced, her voice like wind through leaves. Our biological analysis teams have completed their study of the specimens collected during the cultural exchanges. The holographic display showed human DNA structures, metabolic charts, and cellular samples. To the assembled scientists, the data painted a picture of a species that should not exist. These beings process toxins that would kill most galactic life forms, reported Dr. Velmoth, a Zephyrian researcher. Their livers function like industrial chemical plants. They can consume ethanol, caffeine, capsaicin, and theobromine without apparent harm. Another scientist, a floating gas bag creature called a Nimtar, added more disturbing facts. Their muscle density is adapted for high gravity. Their bone structure could survive impacts that would shatter our skeletons. Their cardiovascular system operates under pressure levels we use in emergency medical procedures. But the most alarming discovery came from the psychological evaluation team. They show no response to standard pacification frequencies, reported the team leader, a telepathic species called the Morden. Our mind-calming techniques, which work on all known sapient species, have no effect on humans. Their brains appear to be naturally shielded against mental influence. High Researcher Quintara studied the data with growing alarm. What is your recommendation, colleagues? Immediate containment, came the unanimous reply. Humanity must be classified as a Class Omega hazard species. 3 days later, President Helen Martinez sat in the Oval Office reading the formal ultimatum that had just arrived from the Galactic Confederation. The message was delivered by a new species called the Zekthari, who served as the Confederation's military enforcers. Enforcer Prime Jack Morris stood before the president's desk like a living suit of armor. His species had evolved on a high-gravity world, but even they found Earth's conditions challenging. His metal-like skin gleamed under the office lights as he spoke in a voice like grinding steel. President Martinez, the Galactic Confederation has determined that humanity poses an unacceptable risk to galactic peace and stability. You have 72 of your hours to agree to the following terms. The ultimatum was simple and non-negotiable. Humanity would submit to immediate population controls, limiting their numbers to current levels. All human space travel would be banned beyond their own solar system. Confederation observers would be stationed on Earth to monitor human development and ensure compliance. And if we refuse, President Martinez asked calmly. Then military action will be taken to enforce these requirements, Jack Morris replied. The Confederation fleet is already moving into position at the edge of your solar system. President Martinez thanked the enforcer for delivering the message and politely showed him out. As soon as the alien was gone, she activated the emergency protocols that had been developed after the first alien contact. Admiral Steve Patterson received the alert while reviewing fleet positions in the asteroid belt. His ships had been conducting routine patrols, but intelligence reports suggested the aliens had been watching them carefully. Now he understood why. All ships, condition red, he broadcast to his fleet commanders. This is not a drill. Alien military forces are moving toward Earth with hostile intent. The human response surprised the Confederation watchers. Instead of panic or desperate attempts at negotiation, Earth's military began methodical preparations for war. Ships moved to defensive positions with practiced efficiency. Ground forces activated defense systems that had been quietly prepared for months. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos, head of Space Force Intelligence, coordinated the reconnaissance efforts. Her teams had been studying alien technology since the first contact, preparing for exactly this situation. The Confederation fleet consists of approximately 300 vessels, she reported to Admiral Patterson. Their ships appear to prioritize comfort and efficiency over combat durability. We estimate their crews are not trained for extended combat operations. Captain Jill Washington commanded the newest human starship, the Defiance. Her vessel represented the latest in human military technology, designed with the assumption that space was inherently hostile and any ship might need to fight for survival. When the first Confederation scouts entered the outer solar system, Captain Washington's ship intercepted them. The aliens expected to encounter primitive vessels easily overwhelmed by superior technology. Instead, they found a ship built like a flying fortress. The Defiance was heavily armored, redundantly shielded and armed with weapons designed to function in the harsh environment of space. Where alien ships had elegant curves and comfortable interiors, human ships were built to take damage and keep fighting. Confederation vessel, this is Captain Washington of the Earth Defense Force, she broadcast. You are entering restricted space. Turn around immediately or face the consequences. The alien response was predictable. Human vessel, you will stand down and prepare for boarding. Resistance is futile against Confederation technology. What happened next shocked the alien commanders. Instead of surrendering or fleeing, the human ship opened fire with weapons that sent electromagnetic pulses through the alien vessel's delicate systems. The Confederation scout ship, designed for operations in peaceful space, found its computers scrambled and its power systems overloaded. But the real surprise came when the aliens tried to use their psychological warfare systems. Every species in the galaxy could be intimidated by carefully crafted fear broadcasts that triggered primal terror responses in sapient minds. The humans not only resisted these mental attacks, they seemed to become more aggressive when subjected to them. Captain Washington's crew responded to alien terror-inducing transmissions with what could only be described as battle joy. Is that supposed to scare us? Washington's tactical officer asked over the comm channel. Because it just makes me want to shoot something. The scout ship retreated, its crew traumatized by their encounter with beings who seemed immune to fear and eager for combat. Their report to the main fleet described humans as natural-born killers who turned psychological warfare into motivation for violence. Admiral Patterson reviewed the engagement reports with grim satisfaction. They expected to find a peaceful species they could intimidate into submission, he told his staff. Instead, they found humans who treat combat as problem-solving. The Confederation fleet commanders held emergency meetings as more reports came in. Human ships were not just armed for war, they were designed for it. Human crews did not panic under fire. They became more focused and deadly. Most disturbing of all, the humans seemed to be enjoying themselves. Intercepted communications showed human crews making jokes during combat, treating the life-and-death struggle as an interesting challenge rather than a terrifying ordeal. Enforcer Prime Jack Morris received increasingly desperate reports from his fleet commanders. Sir, the humans are not responding as predicted. Their ships are more durable than expected. Their crews show no fear response, and their weapons are specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in our technology. How is that possible? Jack Morris demanded. They are a primitive species with limited space experience. Sir, I believe they are not primitive at all. They are a species that evolved for warfare on a world where everything is trying to kill them. We may have made a serious error in our assessment. Back on Earth, President Martinez addressed the nation and the watching galaxy. The Galactic Confederation has demanded our submission and threatened military action if we refuse. To the Confederation leadership, I say this. Humanity did not claw its way to the top of the food chain on one of the galaxy's most dangerous worlds, just to bow down to beings who have never faced real adversity. She paused, looking directly into the camera. You wanted to know what kind of species we are. Now you're going to find out. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring the alien fleet would receive it. The humans were not going to submit quietly. They were going to fight, and they were going to win. The Confederation launched their cleansing operation at dawn Earth time. 300 alien ships moved in perfect formation toward the inner solar system, their hulls gleaming like jewels in the sunlight. Enforcer Prime Jack Morris commanded from the flagship, confident that overwhelming force would quickly break human resistance. Fleet Admiral Roy Chen watched the alien approach from his command center on Luna. Unlike the graceful alien vessels, human ships looked brutal and functional, like weapons designed to survive in the hostile environment of space. Chen had spent 30 years in the Navy, and he understood something the aliens did not. In real combat, pretty ships died first. All fleet elements, this is Admiral Chen, he broadcast to his commanders. Execute Plan Razor. Show these visitors what happens when you threaten Earth. The first surprise came when human ships did not engage in the neat, orderly combat the Confederation expected. Instead of lining up for honorable battle, human vessels used asteroids for cover, attacked from unexpected angles, and coordinated their strikes with ruthless efficiency. Captain Jill Washington led the first wave of attacks, her ship Defiance spearheading a formation that struck the alien fleet's left flank. The Confederation commanders watched in horror as human ships rammed through their defensive screens, absorbing damage that should have destroyed them and continuing to bite. Their ships are built like siege engines, reported one alien captain as his elegant cruisers' shields collapsed under human fire. They don't fight like civilized beings. They fight to destroy. The aliens' second shock came when they tried to land ground forces on Earth. Colonel Nick Torres commanded the defense of North America, and his troops were ready for visitors who had never faced determined resistance. The Confederation landing ships set down in what their computers identified as optimal terrain, open fields, with good visibility and flat ground for deploying their forces. It was exactly what human military doctrine predicted they would do. As soon as the alien troops emerged from their ships, they found themselves in carefully prepared kill zones. Human soldiers wearing equipment designed for Earth's harsh conditions moved through environments that forced the aliens to use full environmental protection. "Contact front," shouted Sergeant Billy Murphy as his squad engaged the first alien patrol. The Confederation soldiers wore gleaming armor that looked impressive but proved vulnerable to human weapons designed for maximum lethality. The aliens fought with restraint, following military doctrines developed for conflicts between civilized species with rules and honor codes. Human soldiers fought to win by any means necessary, using tactics that would have been considered barbaric by galactic standards. Colonel Torres coordinated his forces from a command bunker that doubled as a chemical processing facility. Dr. Paul Newman, a biochemical warfare specialist, had been preparing for this day since the first alien contact. "Release Package 1, Torres ordered as alien forces advanced across a valley in Colorado. The humans had weaponized their own atmosphere. Chemical agents that were harmless to humans proved devastating to aliens who evolved in sterile environments. The Confederation troops found their protective suits overwhelmed by compounds that humans breathed every day in industrial areas. "They're using poison gas," screamed an alien commander as his troops began collapsing. "This violates all civilized warfare conventions." "No," Dr. Newman corrected over the radio frequency he knew the aliens monitored. "We're using industrial cleaning products. The fact that you find them lethal is not our problem." The most terrifying moment for the Confederation came when Commander Beth Wilson led a boarding action against their command ship. Human Marines in powered armor cut through the elegant vessel's hull like it was made of paper. The alien crew watched in horror as human soldiers moved through areas they had flooded with defensive chemicals. The humans operated effectively in conditions that required their own forces to wear full environmental protection. "How are they still functioning?" asked the ship's captain as human soldiers advanced through corridors filled with what should have been lethal toxins. "Sir," his science officer replied in a shaking voice, "I don't think these chemicals affect them at all. Their metabolisms process these compounds like we process water." Commander Wilson and her Marines reached the bridge in under 10 minutes. The alien crew surrendered immediately, unable to comprehend beings who treated their deadliest defenses as minor inconveniences. The space battle continued for 6 hours before Enforcer Prime Jack Morris called for a ceasefire. His beautiful fleet was being systematically destroyed by human ships that fought with the efficiency of machines and the cunning of predators. Ambassador Sekthara of the Polvani, one of the Confederation's diplomatic species, requested immediate negotiations. The elegant ambassador met with negotiator Frank Miller in a conference room aboard a human ship that felt like the inside of a weapon. "Surely we can reach an agreement," Sekthara pleaded, her forearms gesturing gracefully. "The Confederation does not wish to destroy humanity. We simply cannot allow your species to spread unchecked through the galaxy." Frank Miller, a former prosecutor from Chicago, studied the alien with cold eyes. "You came here to contain us. You threatened our families, our children, our future. Now you want to negotiate because you're losing." "We underestimated your capabilities," the ambassador admitted. "But surely you understand our concerns. Your species is unlike anything we have encountered. You thrive in conditions that would kill us. You treat warfare as a natural state. You resist mental influence. You are, by our standards, completely noxious to civilized life." Miller leaned back in his chair. "By your standards, maybe. But here's the thing, Ambassador. Your standards don't apply to us. We never asked to join your confederation. We were doing fine on our own." The negotiations lasted 3 days. During that time, human forces continued their methodical dismantling of Confederation positions throughout the solar system. Admiral Chen's fleet hunted down alien ships with systematic precision, while ground forces eliminated every landing site with overwhelming force. Dr. Newman's chemical warfare teams had developed compounds specifically tailored to alien physiology. Using blood samples collected during the cultural exchanges, human scientists created weapons that were devastating to alien biology but harmless to humans. "You're using our own bodies against us," Ambassador Sekthara accused during one session. "We're using science," Miller replied. "The fact that your biology is vulnerable to compounds we consider harmless is information you freely provided. We didn't force you to submit to medical examinations." The final straw came when human forces demonstrated their newest weapons, devices that turned the Confederation's own technology against them. Human engineers had reverse-engineered alien systems and found ways to make them malfunction catastrophically. A single human ship disabled an entire alien squadron by broadcasting signals that caused their computers to crash and their life support systems to shut down. The Confederation crews had to be rescued by their own vessels to prevent them from suffocating in their disabled ships. "This is impossible," Enforcer Prime Jack Morris told his staff. "How can a primitive species turn our own technology into weapons against us?" "Sir," his chief engineer replied, "I don't think they're primitive at all. I think they're the most advanced warriors in the galaxy. They've just been pretending to be peaceful." By the end of the week, the Confederation fleet was in full retreat. Ships limped away from Earth with their crews traumatized by encounters with beings who seemed to enjoy combat and treated impossible odds as interesting. Challenges. Frank Miller presented the final terms to Ambassador Sekthara. "Complete withdrawal from our solar system. No monitoring stations. No restrictions on human expansion. And formal recognition that Earth space is off limits to Confederation forces." "And if we refuse?" the ambassador asked. Miller smiled, and the expression made the alien step backward involuntarily. "Then we come to visit you. And trust me, Ambassador, you really don't want humans showing up uninvited in your nice, peaceful corner of the galaxy." The Confederation agreed to all terms immediately. As their ships departed, Admiral Chen received reports from his scouts. "Sir, they're not just retreating. They're running. Some of their ships are already jumping to hyperspace before they've even left the outer system." Dr. Newman compiled his final report on the conflict. The aliens' greatest weakness was their assumption that all intelligent life would be like them, peaceful, fragile, and dependent on controlled environments. They never imagined a species that turned survival into an art form. President Martinez addressed the nation that evening. "Today, humanity proved that we will not be contained, controlled, or conquered. We are what our world made us: survivors, fighters, and explorers, and now the galaxy knows it too." 6 months after the Confederation's retreat, the galaxy had become a very different place. Supreme Chancellor Vixamara of the Thelnari presided over emergency sessions in the Confederation capital. Her crystalline form dimmed with worry as reports poured in from across their territory. "The humans have established monitoring stations in 17 star systems," reported Intelligence Director Morkelth. "They claim these are research facilities, but our analysts believe they are military observation posts." Chancellor Vixamara studied the holographic display showing human expansion. Each new station represented a foothold in space that the Confederation could no longer control. Worse, other species were beginning to question Confederation authority. The Corvani have formally requested human protection for their homeworld, added another aide. They say if humans can defeat our fleet, perhaps humans can protect them from the Extari raiders. General Tony Garcia oversaw the establishment of humanity's first permanent military presence outside the solar system, from his command ship orbiting the Corvani homeworld. He watched alien civilians go about their daily lives under human protection. "It's strange," he told his aide, Captain Sue Davis. "They're so fragile. Look at them. They need environmental suits just to work outside their climate-controlled cities." Captain Davis nodded as she reviewed the patrol schedules. "The Extari raiders haven't been seen since we arrived. Word travels fast in this galaxy. The Extari had been a plague on Confederation space for decades. Their raids on peaceful worlds had been tolerated because no one could stop them effectively. The Confederation's own military forces were too gentle for the kind of warfare needed to eliminate pirates and raiders, but humans had different ideas about dealing with criminals who preyed on civilians. When the Extari made their next raid attempt, they found human ships waiting for them. The pirates, accustomed to fighting delicate Confederation vessels, encountered opponents who treated space combat like a brutal contact sport. Captain Dave Wilson commanded the human patrol ship Vengeance when it intercepted a Yextari raiding fleet. His crew had been looking forward to this encounter. "Yextari vessels, this is Captain Wilson of the Earth Defense Force. You are threatening civilians under our protection. Stand down immediately, or face the consequences." The Yextari leader laughed over the communication channel. "Soft pink aliens think they can threaten us? We have been raiding these systems for 50 cycles. "Yeah, well," Wilson replied, "that ends today." The battle lasted exactly 12 minutes. When it was over, the Yextari fleet was either destroyed or fleeing in panic. The pirates had never encountered beings who fought with such focused aggression and seemed to enjoy the violence. Dr. Kevin Clark led the scientific exchanges that followed human expansion into Confederation space. His research team studied alien worlds and made discoveries that changed everyone's understanding of galactic life. Most of these species evolved on what we would consider paradise worlds. He reported to Earth Command. Stable climates, gentle gravity, minimal radiation, no dangerous predators. They've never had to adapt to real adversity. The implications were staggering. Humanity had evolved on one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy, and that danger had forged them into something unprecedented. While other species had grown soft in their garden worlds, humans had been hardened by constant challenge. This revelation led to humanity's greatest advantage: adaptability. While other species required extensive terraforming to colonize new worlds, humans could modify themselves and their equipment to thrive in hostile environments. Commander Lisa Hayes led the first human expedition to a world the Confederation had written off as uninhabitable. The planet had high gravity, toxic atmosphere, and radiation levels that would kill most galactic species within hours. "This place is perfect," Hayes told her crew as they established the first human colony on what the aliens called Death World Gamma 7. "Feels like home." The colony thrived. Human children played in radiation levels that required aliens to wear full protective gear. Human farmers grew crops in soil that would poison other species. Human miners extracted resources from areas where alien machinery failed within days. Ambassador Lucy Johnson established humanity's first permanent embassy on the Confederation capital world of Harmony Prime. Her very presence there served as a constant reminder that the galaxy now contained a force the Confederation could neither control nor understand. The embassy building itself became a symbol of human difference. Where alien architecture emphasized beauty and comfort, the human embassy was built like a fortress. It could survive bombardment, maintain its own atmosphere, and operate independently for months if necessary. "Why do you build everything like you expect to be attacked?" asked Chancellor Vixamara during Johnson's first formal audience. "Because on our world you always might be," Johnson replied. "It's just good planning." The cultural exchanges continued, but now the power dynamic had completely reversed. Alien visitors to human space came as students rather than teachers, trying to understand how a single species could so thoroughly dominate galactic politics. Dr. Amy Foster, now head of human-alien relations, hosted delegations of curious aliens who wanted to observe human society. The results were always the same: Visitors who arrived confident in their superiority left humbled and shaken. Your children play games that would be considered military training by our standards, observed a Veltar educator after watching human kids play soccer. It's just a sport, Foster explained. We believe competition makes children stronger. Competition? The alien's crystalline form flickered with confusion. You teach your young to fight each other for dominance? We teach them to do their best and never give up, Foster corrected. The fighting part comes naturally. President Martinez addressed the Galactic Assembly for the first time, speaking to representatives from over 100 worlds. Her message was simple but profound. Humanity does not seek to conquer or control other species, she said, her words carried to every corner of Confederation space. But we will not be contained, restricted, or threatened. We are what our world made us, and our world made us strong. The speech marked the end of Confederation hegemony. Species that had been subjugated for millennia began asserting their independence, knowing that humanity would support them against Confederation retaliation. The Corvani formally withdrew from Confederation membership, citing human protection agreements. The Morden telepaths, tired of being used as living lie detectors, requested human assistance in establishing their own sovereign territory. Even some of the Confederation's core species began reconsidering their positions. The Zephyrians, traumatized by their encounters with human culture, nonetheless found themselves fascinated by humanity's approach to problem-solving. They face every challenge head-on, reported a Zephyrian anthropologist. Where we seek harmony and balance, they seek victory and achievement. It is terrifying but also inspiring. The galaxy's most dangerous worlds became targets for human colonization. Planets with extreme weather, hostile biology, and radiation levels that sterilized alien equipment became thriving human settlements. Captain Rick Santos established the first human colony in the Maelstrom Nebula, a region of space so dangerous that even automated probes rarely returned. His colonists adapted their technology to function in the energy storms that made the nebula uninhabitable to other species. This is actually pretty peaceful, Santos reported to Earth Command. The energy storms only last a few hours and the radiation is manageable with basic shielding. From the Confederation's perspective, humans were colonizing hell itself and calling it home. The final scene played out in a kindergarten classroom on Luna Colony, where human children played in an environment that required visiting aliens to wear full environmental protection. Their teacher, Mrs. Sarah Kim, was explaining the solar system to her students while alien observers watched in amazement. Earth is special because it taught us to be strong, she told the 5-year-olds. The high gravity made our bones tough. The changing weather made us adaptable. The dangerous animals made us smart. One child raised her hand. Mrs. Kim, why do the aliens wear those funny suits? Because they come from easier worlds, the teacher explained. They never had to become as strong as we did. The alien observers exchanged glances through their helmet visors. These human children, playing casually in conditions that strained adult alien physiology, represented the future of galactic civilization. Chancellor Vixamara received her final report on the human situation that evening. The conclusion was simple and terrifying. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through superior technology or overwhelming numbers. They had done it by being what they had always been, survivors who thrived in conditions that broke other species. They never expected us to be this noxious, she said to her aide, using the human word that had entered galactic common language. And now it's too late to stop them. In human space, Admiral Chen reviewed the deployment of Earth's expanding fleet. Humanity had gone from a single world to a galactic power in less than a year, not through conquest but through the simple fact that they could survive and thrive where others could not. The galaxy is a big place, he told his staff, and most of it is too